Frankfurt's. On the afternoon of June 18th, while sketching a design for a new client, my world went from vibrant to nothing in a heartbeat.
My life was a symphony of color and shadow. As a tattoo artist, I found my purpose in the permanence of ink, in the stories etched into the living canvas of human skin. The studio, with its sharp, clean smell of antiseptic and the low, constant buzz of the machines, was my sanctuary. I was a quiet observer, a silent witness to people's histories and hopes, transforming their grief into art, their passions into symbols, their memories into a lasting monument. It wasn't just a job, it was a devotion. It was how I connected with the world, a language of intricate lines and vibrant pigments. At home, the rhythm was different, a soft melody of warmth and light. My wife, Ilara, was a painter, her world a kaleidoscope of light and emotion. We have a daughter, Lily, who is now 6, with eyes the color of summer leaves that seem to see right through me, beyond the tattoos and into my very soul. My worries were the same as anyone else's. The mounting bills for the new studio lease, whether I was a good enough father, and the occasional unsettling silence in our marriage. My Thursdays were spent sketching in a quiet cafe, my only time to myself. I believed in God, in a distant, intellectual way. I thought of him as the great artist, the creator of the cosmos, but not as someone who cared about the specific details of my life. I went to church on Christmas and Easter, a cultural tradition more than an act of faith. I thought that was enough. My body was a testament to the stories I collected. A roaring lion on my shoulder, a tribute to my late father's strength. A phoenix rising from my ribs, a symbol of a past struggle. A whimsical starry sky on my forearm, representing a hope for the future. And nestled over my heart, in a delicate flowing script, was Lily's name. They were simply part of me, a visual autobiography, and I never gave them a second thought. I never considered what their stories might be to a higher power. That day, the studio was quiet. Ilara and Lily were at the park, enjoying the early summer sun. I was sitting at my drawing table, sketching a design for a client, feeling the familiar, quiet hum of concentration settle over me. It was a normal day, a perfect mundane Tuesday, and I was exactly where I was supposed to be. It happened without warning. There was no theatrical clutch of the chest, no searing cinematic agony. It was a sudden, hot pressure, a swift, violent implosion that stole the air from my lungs and the color from my world. It was a star exploding in my chest, a cosmic hammer blow that drove me to my knees. The pen slipped from my fingers, and I hit the rug with a soft thud. My last conscious thought was a simple, absurd thing. I forgot to send that email to Ilara. Her face, framed by the bright morning sun, flashed in my mind, followed by Lily's laugh, a sound as pure as a wind chime. And then there was nothing. A profound, absolute blackness. The low, peaceful hum of my studio machines faded away into a deep, deep quiet. And then I was light. The panic, the pain, the fear, it was all gone, evaporated into the stillness. I opened my eyes, a peculiar sensation since I had no eyes, and I was looking down at myself. There I was, lying on the beige rug, one arm twisted awkwardly beneath my chest, my face pressed against the soft fibers. The television in the corner was still blaring. It didn't feel scary. It was like I was watching a scene from a movie, a stranger in a life I once knew. I felt a gentle but undeniable pull. It was like a slow-moving river, and I began to drift upward, right through the ceiling. I saw the wooden beams, the thick insulation, the shingles of the roof. Then I was above my house, a silent, invisible spectator. I could see the entire neighborhood, a living map of human stories. Cars moved along the streets, people walked their dogs, children played in their yards. It was all so normal, so vibrantly alive,
But I was separate from it all, detached. I wasn't cold, I wasn't hot, I just was. A deep, resonant sound began to fill everything around me. It wasn't a noise in my ears, but a feeling in my soul. It was a low, perfect chord of pure, complete peace. The world below began to fade, like an old photograph slowly sinking into water. The blue sky above me turned into a soft, dark velvet, a canvas of absolute stillness. In the center of that boundless darkness, a light appeared. It began as a tiny pinprick, a single, impossibly bright star, and then it grew, expanding and brightening with a speed that defied all earthly logic. Yet it wasn't a blinding light, it was a welcoming light, a soft, living luminescence that pulsed with a life of its own. I wasn't moving towards it, it was moving towards me, or we were moving towards each other, a cosmic dance of reunion. The closer it got, the more I could feel it. It was love. That's the only word I have, and yet it feels so small, so incomplete. It was a love that knew every single thing about me, every foolish mistake, every selfish thought, every secret I had ever kept hidden. And it didn't just accept me, it celebrated me. It was a feeling of coming home after being lost for 1,000 years. Tears, though I had no eyes, streamed from my being, a cascade of relief, a release of every burden I had ever carried.
As the light surrounded me, it began to take on a form, a presence. It was a man, but he was made of that light, his clothes woven from starlight and compassion. His face, I can't describe it. It was like looking at the sun and seeing a million happy memories all at once, a perfect mosaic of joy and truth. But his eyes held me. They weren't a color you could name. They were filled with a liquid joy and a deep, ancient sadness all at once, and they looked at me with a love that took my breath away for a second time. I didn't need to ask. My whole being, my entire soul screamed his name, Creator. His voice wasn't a sound, but a thought that appeared in my mind, a resonance of love that was warmer than any voice I had ever heard. Welcome, Julian. I've been waiting for you. I just sobbed, unable to speak, to form a single coherent thought. I felt so small, so unworthy. I thought of all the times I'd used his name in vain, all the Sundays I'd skipped church for a walk in the park. The guilt started to creep in, a dark stain on my newfound peace, but he just washed it away with a single thought. Peace. That is all finished. He raised a hand, also made of light, and gently motioned for me to look at myself. I did. I was also made of a sort of light, but it was dimmer than his, a faint ember compared to his sun. I looked for the tattoos on my arms, on my chest, on my ribs. They were all gone. My skin, my spiritual form was clean, perfect, unmarked. I felt a wholeness, a freedom I had never known on earth. I looked back at him, confusion and wonder swirling in my being. He knew my question before I could form it. The stories you wrote on your earthly body are not the story of who you truly are. And then he showed me. It wasn't like watching a screen. It was like I was in the moments, a silent, unseen presence. He wanted me to understand something he said the church on earth was getting confused about, something about the marks we put on our bodies. First, he took me to a small, loud tattoo shop. The buzz of the needle was a constant drone, the air thick with the scent of ink. A young man, maybe 20, was in the chair, a grim look on his face. He was getting a snarling wolf tattooed on his forearm, all rage and bared teeth. His heart, I could feel it, was a storm of anger towards his father. He wanted the world to see his pain, to see his strength, to see how he had overcome. But the Creator showed me what was happening in the spirit. As the needle put the ink into the skin, I saw a small, smoky, dark thread come out of the image. It was thin, like a spider's web, and it connected to the young man's spirit. It wasn't a demon. It wasn't possession. The Creator made that clear. It was an anchor, a spiritual tie. He has marked his temple with the story of his anger, the Creator explained, his voice filled with sorrow. And that mark will now give his anger a home, a place to live and grow. It is a doorway he opened himself, inviting the spirit of rage to whisper to him whenever he is weak. He thinks it makes him strong, but it has chained him to his own pain. I watched as the young man's life flashed forward. I saw him lose his temper in traffic. I saw him get into fights. I saw relationships break because of that rage, which was now fed and given a place of honor on his very skin. It was heartbreaking to watch a soul unknowingly forge its own shackles. Then the scene changed. We were somewhere else. A clean, bright studio with a soft, natural light. A woman in her 40s was getting a tattoo on her wrist. It was a delicate, beautiful script that said, "Forever in my heart," with her mother's dates of birth and death. Her heart was full of love, but also deep, deep grief. "This is a mark of love," the Creator said, "but it is a love chained to earthly loss." He showed me her spirit. The tattoo was like a tiny spiritual anchor that kept a part of her soul tied to the graveyard. It kept her grief fresh. Every time she looked at it, she wasn't just remembering her mother's life, she was reliving the pain of her death. He showed me her mother in heaven, whole and happy, waiting for her daughter. But the daughter on earth was chained to the tomb by a mark of her own choosing. "She honors the memory of the dead," he said, "but in doing so, she makes it harder to live the life she has been given. It keeps her eyes looking down at the dust instead of up toward the promise of reunion. The healing of her heart is slowed because she has etched her wound onto her own body." I stood there stunned. I thought of the roaring lion on my shoulder, a tribute to my dad. I thought it honored him. I didn't realize it was tying me to the pain of his absence. Then he showed me the one that shocked me the most. A young woman, no more than 22, full of fiery passion for her faith, was getting a large, ornate cross tattooed on her back, a magnificent symbol of her devotion. She was so proud. She was telling the artist how she wanted to be a walking testimony for him. I thought, this one has to be good, right? The Creator looked at me and his eyes were filled with a gentle pity. My child, his thought echoed through me. Do they believe my mark on their heart is not enough? He showed me the spiritual reality. As the cross was drawn on her skin, it became a point of pride. He showed me her future. She would show off the tattoo at church picnics. She would feel superior to Christians who didn't have one. The symbol meant to represent humility and sacrifice had become a token of religious pride.
"I did not ask for my name to be carved in skin," he said, his voice resonating with a deep truth. "I asked for it to be carved on the heart. The enemy cannot see the mark on the heart, but he can see the one on the skin, and he will use it. He will whisper to her, 'Look at your great sacrifice. Look at your great devotion.' He will make her trust the symbol more than she trusts the Savior. It becomes a religious idol, a thing she carries for her own glory, not mine." My whole being just trembled. It all made a terrible kind of sense. Finally, he brought my own life into view. He showed me myself at 18, getting that phoenix tattooed on my ribs. He let me feel the arrogance and rebellion in my heart that day. I wanted to look cool. I wanted to defy my parents. And he showed me that a small echo of that rebellious spirit had been given a place to live on my body for all these years. He showed me the tattoo from my favorite band. He showed me how it connected me to worldly pride, to the empty culture of fame. It wasn't a huge, terrible sin. It was just a tie, an anchor holding me to things that had no eternal value. And then he showed me the tattoo of Lily's name over my heart. "You love your daughter," he said, and his love for me in that moment was overwhelming. That is good. but your ultimate identity must be in me. Your first love must be for the one who created you and your daughter. By putting her name over your heart, you have declared her the guardian of that space, but only I can truly guard your heart. It was a subtle shift, a small confusion, but it was enough to keep my focus on this temporary home. I finally understood. It wasn't about the ink, it wasn't about a rule in a book, it was about the spirit. It was about freedom. Every mark made in anger or grief, or even in misguided devotion, was a tiny thread that tied our eternal spirit to a temporary feeling, a temporary identity. I created you to be free, to be completely mine, he said, and you were unknowingly chaining yourselves to the world, to your own broken stories. Your body is a temple, Julian, not because it is a holy building, but because it is where my spirit is meant to live. These marks are graffiti on the temple walls. They are the stories of men, not the story of God. My story is one of redemption. It is not written in ink, but with the blood I shed for you. That is the only mark you will ever need. I fell to my knees in the light, but there was no floor. I just knelt in his presence, a single, insignificant point in a universe of love. "I'm so sorry," I whispered. I didn't know. And that is why you must go back." The words hit me like a physical blow. Go back to the pain? To the world of noise and bills and broken things? I looked at his face, and I saw my home. "No," I begged. "Please don't make me go. I want to stay here with you. Please." I was crying again. That deep, soul-shaking cry. It felt too good here. The love was too perfect. Going back felt like dying a second time. He came closer, and the light from him was so warm, so infinitely gentle. He put a hand on my shoulder. "Your work is not done. Many of my children are chained, and they do not even know it. They think they are decorating the temple when they are locking its doors from the inside. You saw the truth. You must go and tell them." He paused, letting his words sink into my very being. "Tell them not with judgment, but with the love you have felt here. Tell them it is not about shame. It is about freedom. Tell them to bring their marked bodies to me, to bring their stories, their anger, their grief, their pride, and I will begin the work of writing a new story on their hearts. I will heal them from the inside out." He leaned in, and I felt a thought that was just for me. "Alara and Lily need you, Julian. Your story with them isn't over. Go and love them with the love I have shown you. Go and be a father who points his daughter to her true father." The mention of their names was a stab of beautiful, terrible pain. I saw Lily's face, her big green eyes. I saw Alara's smile. The love I felt for them swelled in my chest. I knew he was right. "I don't want to leave you," I choked out, a raw whisper from a soul on the brink of despair. "I will never leave you," his voice promised. "I will be with you now. Go." And with that word, go, I felt that gentle river turn into a rushing waterfall, pulling me backwards, away from the light. I reached out, trying to hold on to the last flicker of his presence, but it was gone. The darkness swallowed me, and the peace was replaced by a terrifying falling sensation. A bolt of lightning shot through my every cell. A pain so intense, it was a white light in my head. I gasped, a huge ragged breath that burned my lungs. My chest felt like a truck had parked on it. A voice, distant at first, then jarringly close, cut through the agony. "We got a pulse! We got him back!" My eyes fluttered open. The ceiling was white. There were faces above me, people in blue uniforms. An oxygen mask was strapped to my face. The sound was a mess of beeping and frantic voices. "Julian, can you hear me? You had a massive cardiac arrest. You've been down for a while." I saw Alara then, in the corner of my vision. Her face was pale, streaked with tears.
She was clutching her phone, which probably was used to call 911. Our eyes met. The relief that washed over her face is a picture I will never forget.
I was in the hospital for days. The doctors were baffled. They used words like miracle and medically unexplainable. They told Alara I was clinically dead for over 7 minutes. 7 minutes. No pulse, no breath. They said by all accounts I should have had severe brain damage if I survived at all. But I was fine. Perfectly fine. My heart was damaged, but my mind was clearer than it had ever been. I tried to tell a doctor what I saw. He just smiled politely and wrote something down on his clipboard. Probably hallucination due to lack of oxygen. But I knew it was more real than the hospital bed I was lying in. So now I'm here. And I know this all sounds crazy. A year ago, I would have thought I was crazy. But I can't keep what I saw to myself. I still have my tattoos. I look at them in the mirror every day. But they don't look the same to me anymore. I don't see a cool design or a memory of my dad. I see an anchor. I see a story that isn't the one God wants to write for me. I'm not here to tell you to get your tattoos removed or to condemn you if you have them. That's not what the Creator told me to do. He told me to share His love. He told me to tell you about freedom. So I'm asking you to just look. Look at the marks on your body. And be honest. What is the story behind them? Did you get it in anger, in pain, in pride, to fit in? Even if you got it with a good heart, is it possible it's keeping a part of you tied to this world, to a memory, to a religious symbol, instead of to the living God? Bring that story to Him in your prayers. Just talk to Him about it. Say, Creator, here's this mark. Here's why I got it. Here's the anger or the grief or the pride behind it, and I give it to you. I don't want to be tied to this story anymore. Please start writing your story on my heart. That's the only tattoo that matters, the one He writes. It's a mark of pure grace, invisible to the world, but it sets you completely and totally free. That's what He showed me, and it changed everything. My journey into the light was not a dream, but a spiritual awakening. A profound and terrifying glimpse behind the veil of our reality. I was a man who used a needle to tell stories, but I was shown that the greatest narrative is not etched in ink, but in the heart, written by the hand of a loving Creator. Every mark we carry, every story we tell, whether on our skin or in our souls, has a spiritual weight. So I come to you now, not as a judge, but as a witness, a man who has seen beyond the horizon of this world. The question isn't about the ink, it's about the anchor. What story are you allowing to define you? What chains are you unknowingly forging? The Creator showed me a path to ultimate freedom, a way to exchange our broken stories for His perfect one. If this message resonates with you, if you feel that quiet tug on your own soul, join this community. We are not just watching a video, we are becoming a part of a movement, a shared journey towards a greater truth. Subscribe and let's together begin the work of unchaining our hearts and letting the only true story be written within us, one prayer at a time.